Okay, my name is John Nelson. I was the visual effects supervisor on Blade Runner 2049.
How had you seen, even before stepping into the sequel, Blade Runner influence filmmaking?
The original Blade Runner?
Yeah.
Well, it's everybody's favorite movie. It's on my top 5, right? You know what I mean? And it's so influential. I mean, I moved out to Los Angeles in 1979. So I ended up knowing a lot of people that worked on the original one, right? And knowing Richard Hollander or Mike Fink, Mark Stetson, Chris Gregg, and I knew I had gone down when I first moved to LA. Doug Trumbull was actually instrumental in getting me my first job because I interviewed with him, and he said, well, are you in the camera union? I can't hire you, but these people, talk to these people. And he gave me a list of like 5 people, and I ended up going and ended up working for them and then getting into the camera union later. So, but Blade Runner is so influential in so many ways because it's smart, it's beautiful, it's it's intelligent sci-fi. And it's just a seductive movie with like Sean Young and Harrison Ford. I mean, it's a great film. So it influenced everything, all sci-fi and visual effects. You know what I mean? When you looked at that, it was. I was talking to Rob Legato last week, who was an old friend of mine from Robert Abel and Associates, where I worked there with Charlie Gibson and Rob and other people. And he goes, I can't tell you how many times I've been told I'm smart because I said, well, let's make it look like Blade Runner. And so it's highly influential, and I think it's one of everybody's favorite movies. So when we looked at that, we knew that we were redoing something that was really special, and everybody had a lot of honor and respect for the first movie, and especially Denis. But we were really blessed. Just like the original Blade Runner was blessed in that both movies have brilliant directors. And the remake, Denis early on said, I really respect the first movie, but I'm not making that movie. I'm a different painter, and I'm going to paint it in a different way, right? And he really ripped it from his own heart and soul. And for us, having a brilliant director, it just doesn't make my job easy, but it makes it a lot easier, right?
How has the evolution of technology since, even not going back all the way to the first Blade Runner, or even, for instance, a watershed film like Terminator 2 that you were involved with, how have the advances in technology allowed 2049 to come alive as it did?
It allowed us to be more subtle with the work, like the subtlety of being like the advancement in visual effects technology and CG made the work be more subtle. And I think that Denis, his concept for this was he didn't want anything too splashy that would overwhelm the emotional moment of the story. He wanted it to be strong and beautiful but look real. And all of us, like Denis, Roger, myself, we all, because I come out of the camera department originally, we all really wanted to shoot as much real stuff as we could, build as much real set as we could afford. But that saying, I mean, there's 1,200 visual effects shots in the movie. In a 2-hour, 43-minute movie, there's an hour and 40 minutes of visual effects, and every wide shot is a visual effect. But what we would do is we would strive to shoot as much as we could, particularly around the camera and particularly around actors, like have enough real set around them so they could interact correctly and see what's there, right? But in the big wide shots, what I refer to as the David Lean shots, where they're big, huge, and people are little, right? Those are all CG, in partial CG, or in some instances when people aren't there and it's just flying through stuff, they'll be total CG, right?
And one of the key parts of the first trailer for this film, as well as the key memorable part of the original, was that Atari symbol.
Oh, right.
What are your thoughts about how these films have been able to take real brands and make them futuristic?
Well, I mean, that was sort of a legacy, like Atari and Pan Am. Early on, Denis really liked the idea of Atari and Pan Am because it was an alternate universe that sort of tangentially went off from the end of the first movie and hooked up to us. And in the world of the new movie, it's like the old movie in that the old movie was like future noir, and that it was science fiction, but it was also old stuff. In our movie, I don't know if people notice this, but in the new movie, there are no 16:9 screens. It's all 3x4s. It's all like old tube TVs. There are no cell phones, you know, and it's this alternate universe that has gone this way. And we even got into explaining why it happened. There was this whole backstory thing that was written up, like, you know, like that starts year by year, like, you know, Tyrell is killed, you know, Deckard and Rachel escape, and what happens between that and when this movie begins. And some of that is covered in the prologue for the movie, the scroll, and other parts of it are covered by the short films that Alcon got Luke Scott to direct. He directed 2 short films that are online, and Watanabe, the brilliant Japanese anime director who did Cowboy Bebop, he did one as well. So if you go online and look at those Blade Runner shorts, right, those sort of explain the time between what happened in the time between the first movie and our movie, in addition to the credit scroll.